Good evening and welcome to Prime TV News. I'm Chamila Guntilaka and we will take a look at the headlines first. UNP says the good governance government is set to continue. Muthu Sivalingam gets a deputy ministerial portfolio. The central bank decides to maintain the policy rates. Investigations are proceeding into the Grand Pass building collapse. South Africa's Jacob Zuma resigns after pressure from party. And now for the news in detail. General Secretary of the United National Party, Kabir Hashim, has said that the stance of the party is a national government. He expressed this view responding to queries raised by journalists after attending discussions held at Temple Trees and chaired by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Kabir Hashim said that everyone decided to work in unity. Responding to further queries by journalists, he said that the government is there and its majority has not changed. If anyone wants to form a government, they should show their majority. Thereafter, a decision can be taken. But he said that at present, the government has its majority. He said that the unity government is to prevail. They expected to implement the mandate given to them by the people. Muthu Sivalingam has taken oaths as Deputy Minister of Small and Primary Industries. He is a parliamentarian from the Nuwara district and President of the Ceylon Workers' Congress. Muthu Sivalingam took oaths this morning as Deputy Minister of Small and Primary Industries in the presence of President Maithripala Sirisena. The swearing-in took place at the President's office. In the meantime, the annual report of the Finance Commission for the year 2016 was handed over to President Maithripala Sirisena this afternoon. Chairman of the Finance Commission, Udita H. Palihakkara, Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy and Finance Secretary Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga were present on the occasion. The central bank has decided to keep its benchmark interest rates unchanged. The Monetary Board has taken this decision with the aim of facilitating sustainable growth facilities. These details were revealed by Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy at a news briefing today. The central bank said that the policies and initiatives taken by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the government supported in making the economy stable. By the end of 2017, both the growth of broad money supply and the growth of credit extended to the private sector by commercial banks moderated to desired levels. The bank said the export earnings reached an all-time high of around US $11.4 billion in 2017, largely supported by the sustained increase in export earnings stemming from the restoration of the GSP Plus facility by the European Union, favorable prices for key commodities in the international market, and the flexible exchange rate policy maintained by the central bank. The central bank governor said that the decision of the Monetary Board is consistent with the objective of maintaining inflation at mid-single-digit levels over the medium term and thereby facilitating a sustainable growth trajectory. He added that the economy is currently operating at a level below its potential but should recover from weather-related effects as trade and foreign direct investment picks up. The group of youth representatives that arrived in Sri Lanka along with the World Friendship Nippon Maru ship program met President Maithripala Sirisena this morning. The president, who warmly greeted them, extended his greetings to them. Arrangements have been finalized to hold the Nippon Maru program in Sri Lanka, Japan and India with the participation of 242 young men and women of 11 countries including Sri Lanka. Nippon Maru Youth Program, organized by the Cabinet Office in Japan, commenced its journey on January the 29th. The ship was anchored in India on the 11th of February and after a stay of 3 days, it began its journey on 13th and reached Colombo today. The ship is due to leave for Japan on the 17th of this month after holding numerous programs for the youths in Sri Lanka. This program is being held to promote and enhance cultural, social and political understanding and promote mutual understanding between the young generations and to strengthen the quality of leadership while developing the progress in youth regarding different fields. The President warmly welcomed the youth to the Presidential Secretariat and offered tokens of appreciation to the young delegates. A mandate given in an election will be abolished only when such a similar election is conducted. This observation has been made by Janata Vimukti Peramuna leader, parliamentarian Anura Kumara Disanayaka. He was addressing a news conference in Colombo today. The JVP leader said that a mandate is given only for one election. This mandate will be abolished only in a similar election. It is incorrect to call for the dissolution of parliament after the conduct of a local government poll. If some stability cannot be built in politics, it is a separate story of holding a referendum. But if anyone is calling for a dissolution of parliament based on a result of a poll, he queried as to how it would come to an end. He said the president cannot dissolve parliament after each and every election. Further addressing journalists, the JVP leader emphasized that only his party can carry forward the common political willingness the people had on January the 8th, 2015. He said that he wished to give an assurance to the people that the Janata Vimukti Peramuna would build a force centering the party under very difficult conditions to meet these aspirations. The Grand Pass police have launched a special investigation into the death of 7 persons following the collapse of a building in the Babapulle area in Grand Pass, Colombo. It is reported that the findings will be submitted in the near future. Based on facts that have surfaced, it has been found that this building had been damaged as a result of a collapse of another old building located next to the building concerned. The police said that they were interrogating a group that was carrying out repairs to the nearby building. 2 persons who were critically injured have been hospitalized. The deaths were reported following the collapse of a building that had stocked tea and spices. The incident happened at around 3:15 p.m. yesterday. Following the collapse of the building, the police and the army, in collaboration with disaster relief workers, launched an operation. 8 disaster vehicles were used in the process. Sources emanating from the hospital said that among the dead were 3 women. Several large holes about 100 feet long were seen in the building, and reports said that many were found under the debris of the collapsed walls and the roof. 3 workers who acted instantly at the time of the collapse of the building succeeded in surviving. According to the police, the owner of the building was among the deceased. The appeals court today ordered the Attorney General to report before the 5th of next month the progress of the investigations mooted with respect to the shooting incident at the Velikada prison. Along with this report, there is more information on several other court cases that were taken up for hearing today. 27 inmates at the Velikada prison died on the 9th and 10th of November in the year 2012 following a shooting carried out by the security forces. An eyewitness to the incident, Sudesh Nandimal Silva, had filed a writ petition calling for the filing of a writ petition to issue an order to the Inspector General of Police and the Criminal Investigations Department for the conduct of a proper inquiry into the murders. Its consideration was postponed until the 5th of next month. The Criminal Investigations Department had reported to the judiciary that on the day of the incident, 2 officials of the Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau had entered the prison and taken out of the prison some selected inmates. The petitioner has accused that despite lodging a complaint, the police had not carried out a proper inquiry into the incident. The petitioner had stated that the killing of these inmates happened after the army was summoned to control a clash that occurred between them and the inmates during a search operation carried out by the Police Special Task Force. Parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa is accused of attempting to leave the country with the possession of 2 passports, violating the country's immigration and emigration regulations. The case filed in this connection was taken up for hearing in the Negombo Magistrates Court today. Testimony of the Department of Immigration and Emigration and the Criminal Investigations Department were summoned today, and hearing further evidence was postponed until the 14th of June. The High Court ordered the taking up of the case filed against former Sports Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage on the 27th of this month. He is accused of a violation of a criminal confidence of a sum of 3.9 million rupees belonging to a trade union of the Sri Lanka Freedom Labour Congress. The Attorney General has filed indictments under 3 charges with respect to this case. The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court further remanded until the 22nd of this month a former accountant of the Presidential Secretariat, Amarasinghe Lekamge Don Gunaratne, for the alleged commitment of a malpractice in the purchase of vehicles to the Secretariat. The magistrate gave this order taking into consideration the submissions made by the Police Special Investigations Unit in the Fort Magistrates Court. The police said that this irregularity had been committed during the 2008 to 2015 period. National Child Protection Authority has deployed a special raid team to look into persons using children for business activities with the aim of earning money. A child cannot be used for trading activities by the parents or guardians with the intention of earning money. However, it has been found on some occasions that children were on display claiming that they are suffering from grave illnesses with the intention of collecting money. Some claiming to be the parents of children were deploying them near supermarkets selling various items. The National Child Protection Authority said that deploying children for trading activities is a punishable offence. Raid teams have been deployed with respect to complaints received on such incidents. The Child Protection Authority has appealed to the public to lodge any complaints in this respect or provide any information to the police headquarters or on 1929 contact number of the Child Protection Authority. 4 persons have sustained injuries in a bus accident that had been reported from the Dambagalla area along the Monragala-Siambalanduwa main road. The accident occurred when a bus belonging to the Monragala depot, which was plying from Monragal to Athimale, collided with a lorry which was running from Siambalanduwa to Thangalla. Both vehicles suffered heavy damages. Police inquiries are in progress to determine whether the accident had occurred due to the inability of the lorry driver to control the speed of his vehicle. Drivers of both vehicles have been arrested. They are due to be produced in the Monragala Magistrates Court. A driver who had been driving a private bus from Valimada to Colombo after liquor has been arrested. He was taken into custody in the Yalpatwala area along the Valimada-Bandaravela road. The driver of the bus was taken into custody following a telephone call made by a passenger of the bus to the police hotline. The driver is accused of operating the bus after being heavily drunk. The bus driver had fled when the police were chasing the vehicle. The Valimada police are pursuing further inquiries into the incident. A fire had spread last night in the paddy fields at Batuandara in Casbeva. The fire brigade unit of the Moratuwa Municipal Council succeeded in dousing the fire. Reports claim that it took 2 hours to extinguish the fire. There was a danger of the fire spreading to nearby houses. The Piliyandal police are carrying out further inquiries. And concluding local news tonight, Sri Lanka's 70th independence anniversary was commemorated on a grand scale in Los Angeles. The event was organized by members of the Independence Forum in Los Angeles. The commemorative function was held at the Royce Theatre of the Los Angeles University. Consul General of Los Angeles, Swarna Gunaratne, participated in the function as the chief guest. Several officials of the US State Department and veteran American actor Julian also joined in this commemorative function. Noteworthy was the participation of a large number of Sri Lankans, including the Sinhalese, Tamils, Muslims and Burghers living in Los Angeles. More news to follow right after this short break. And now for the latest developments from around the world, this is Prime World. South Africa's embattled president Jacob Zuma has resigned after intense pressure from his own party. In a televised statement, he said he was quitting with immediate effect, but said he disagreed with his ANC party's decision. The ANC had told him to step down or face a vote of no confidence in Parliament. The 75-year-old has been facing calls to give way to Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, the ANC's new leader. Mr. Zuma, who has been in power since 2009, faces numerous allegations of corruption. At least 17 people are dead after a 19-year-old man opened fire at a high school campus in Parkland, Florida. The suspect has been named as Nicholas Cruz, 19, and is a former student at the school who had been expelled. As the attack unfolded, students were forced to hide as police swept in on the building. It is one of the deadliest school shootings since 26 people were killed at a Connecticut school in 2012. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel told reporters Mr. Cruz killed 3 people outside the school before entering the building and killing another 12. 2 people later died after being taken to hospital. Zimbabwe's main opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai has died in South Africa. Mr. Tsvangirai, 65, a former prime minister, had reportedly been suffering from colon cancer. Mr. Tsvangirai's career was marked by a long political struggle against former President Robert Mugabe. He had been beaten and imprisoned numerous times. Morgan Tsvangirai was an incredibly brave man who risked his life to stand up to the authoritarian rule of Robert Mugabe. He did not succeed in ousting Mr. Mugabe due to the intimidation of his supporters and some blatant rigging, but he did at least live to see the downfall of his longtime rival. The rebel-held Syrian region of the eastern Ghouta has received its first aid delivery in almost 3 months. It comes after weeks of appeals from the United Nations to allow aid deliveries and the evacuation of hundreds of critically ill people. About 400,000 people live in the besieged enclave east of Damascus under frequent artillery bombardment. Hundreds have been killed in recent weeks after government forces stepped up attempts to seize the area. Wednesday's aid delivery had enough food and supplies for 7,200 people. The Syrian Arab Red Crescent, which jointly handled the delivery, said the 9 trucks would cover about 1,440 families. At least 5 young offenders died at a juvenile detention center in northern Peru after a fire broke out yesterday during an altercation between prisoners. The Juvenile Diagnosis and Rehabilitation Center where the deaths occurred is located in the city of Trujillo, 550 kilometers north of Lima. It remains unclear how many detainees participated in the violence, but authorities told local media that the fire began when prisoners set fire to their mattresses. The fighting started on the second floor of the center in a section where 36 minors were housed. 29 detainees were taken to local hospitals, most of them suffering from smoke inhalation. A link between highly processed foods and cancer has been suggested by French researchers. They classified foods including cakes, chicken nuggets and mass-produced bread as ultra-processed. A study of 105,000 people hinted the more of such foods people ate, the greater their risk of cancer. A lot of caution is being expressed about the study, but experts said a healthy diet is best. The waters of the Persian Gulf have long been home to pearl oysters, providing a valuable mainstay to Arab tribes that subsisted off its trade before the discovery of oil pumped new life into the Arabian Peninsula. Now, off the shores of the United Arab Emirates, a new type of oyster is thriving, the edible kind. Long thought of as a cold water delicacy, edible oysters are being farmed in the warm waters of Fujairah, an emirate with a coastline that juts out into the Gulf of Oman. Oysters are traditionally grown in colder waters. During summer in the UAE, temperatures can sometimes rise above 50 degrees Celsius. Concept cars, electric vehicles and hybrids are stealing the show at India's 2018 Auto Expo. Brands including Toyota, Honda and Renault are showcasing futuristic designs and more environmentally friendly motors. South Korean car brand Kia is gearing up to enter the Indian market. It's creating a lot of buzz at the 2018 Auto Expo in Uttar Pradesh near New Delhi. Thousands are flocking to India's biggest auto show to check out the latest in car design and technology. Last year, in an attempt to clean up the country's air pollution, India's government announced that it wanted all new cars from 2030 onwards to be electric. A year after arriving in New York to take the creative reins of Calvin Klein, designer Raf Simons continues to shake new life into the fashion world. There was a lot more to Simons' show than a tasty gimmick. On top of all those puffy kernels, Simons had built what he called an American landscape, including a huge barnhouse, which was his stage to re-examine the America he encountered when he first arrived. Several models also had what looked like bits of mylar flowing off their otherwise normal garments, as if they'd flown in from another planet but forgotten to remove all their space clothes. And now for the latest from the sports scene from around the world, this is Prime Sport. Asela Gunaratne, who is in the 15-member squad ready to take on Bangladesh in the 2 T20 games starting this evening, is injured and will not play in both games. Sri Lanka Cricket said Gunaratne had sustained an injury to his right arm while taking part in fielding drills. Gunaratne will return to Colombo to attend an MRI scan and to start the rehabilitation process. The Olympic men's hockey tournament opened with a pair of surprises, with both the Americans and the favoured Russians losing 3-2 in the first Olympics since 1994 without NHL players. Jan Musak scored the tying goal for Slovenia in the final minutes of regulation and the winning goal in overtime against the United States. As Musak's final shot went past goaltender Ryan Zapolsky, US players hung their heads on the bench before Slovenia players celebrated with their fans on Wednesday. Zapolsky allowed 3 goals on 25 shots, including the first goal by Jan Urbas. Slovenian goaltender Gasper Kroselj stopped 34 of the 36 shots he faced to pick up the victory, giving up goals to Brian O'Neill and Jordan Greenway. Prime News returns tomorrow, and in the meantime, make www.itnnews.lk your go-to source for the very latest in news at home and overseas. I'm Chamila Gundilaka signing out. Good night.